Hey everyone, with me here is a 2023 Land Rover Defender 130 First Edition. I've been trying to get my hands on one of these for review ever since they came out back in 2020, and I finally managed to get one for review this week. I've only had a couple of days with it, and for this video, I've brought it out here we're like an hour west of Salt Lake. The Great Salt Lake is just right over that hill there. I brought it out here because there are a lot of dirt roads in some areas where we can test its off-road capability, and then we'll make our way eventually up to a radio tower that requires kind of a steep climb and gets you a really cool view. So I thought we would do our review here. Speaking of a review, I'll try to do a walk around in my normal format, and then the driving portion will be off-road as we make our way up a mountain to a radio tower with a really cool view. So let's start with a little tour of the new Defender 130 here. A little backstory on the latest Defender so that we're all on the same page. It came out for the 2020 model year. It was originally only available as the 110 and the 90. The 90 is the two-door, and then the 110, at the time, it was the only four-door model, but with the introduction of the 130 here, it's now the shorter of two available four-door models. The 110 was always available with a third row, but it was really tiny. It was only good for two passengers, and they really had to be children because it was such a small third row. The 130 here fixes that. It gains all of its length behind, behind the rear wheel, so it has the same wheelbase as the 110. It just has some additional room back in this area. So like I said, this one's a first edition. The sticker on it's about $93,000. It's riding on 22-inch wheels wrapped in Continental winter contact winter tires. And well, tomorrow's June, and we're about to do a little bit of light off-roading, so just doing my best with what I've got here. So yeah, 22-inch wheels, really big. Love the design of the new Defender. I think most people will agree. It's a little bit bulbous. There's obvious Land Rover and Range Rover lineage. You've got this kind of fake diamond plate stuff on the hood. It's plastic. On the original Defender, this was, I think, so you could stand on the hood, but I would not do that. You got Defender plastered across the hood. There's this silver strip, and then Land Rover in the grille. Down below, because this is 2023, we've now got parking sensors on the Defender, air suspension, LED headlights. On the fender here, there's this mesh bit that says Defender on it. It says Defender on the fender. Black mirror caps. Roof rails up top. You've got a big panoramic sunroof. Not really the kind of feature I'd want on a Defender, but you get one. Here's the gas cap, so you can see this model is available with a diesel engine in other markets. Not in the US. There are just 3 gas engines, a 4-cylinder, a inline 6 with 2 different states of tune that are available, and then a V8 that was, I think, also new for 2023. Moving around back, you've got the spare tire hanging off the rear. Kind of wouldn't be a Defender without a rear-mounted spare. And then the rear door opens from the side because, again, it kind of wouldn't, I guess, be a Defender if the rear door didn't do that. It says Defender across the back here. That's Land Rover British plastic through and through right there. Like I said, 130, the selling point is the third row. Now there is going to be a 130, the outbound model they just announced, but it will be a 2-row model, but you'll get all the length of the 130 and no third row, so you'll have much better cargo space here. But kind of the most ridiculous third row I've ever seen, at least in a modern vehicle. It sits off the cargo floor, so you'll never get a flat load floor, and then each of the seats come up independently of one another. So, I mean, that's not really too crazy, but check this out. Someone could theoretically ride along back here in the middle seat. If I were like 9 years old, I absolutely would have done that. But I gotta say, I was pretty disappointed by the way this third row folds. I mean, case in point, that's as low as it gets. It just kind of rests on the cushions. So I fiddled with it, And that's as low as you can get it. I mean, they don't even really come to rest level with one another. Overall, the design of this third row, it feels about 70% completed. So maybe not really the selling point of the Defender. I mean, the Chevrolet Tahoe and the Honda Pilot, vehicles like that, they really nail the third row. They prioritize the third row. Maybe an afterthought in the 130 here, but the extra space is really nice. And like I said, the 110, even if you don't get it with the third row, the 110 is kind of cramped back here. So the elongated cargo area is certainly a welcome addition. You do have a heated third row. That's the first time I've ever seen that. I can't think off the top of my head of any other vehicles that have that. Either way, a very rare, unique feature. This one was built in May of last year, I think. And I'm not sure if it was a victim of the chip shortage, but there are several places where there's a block-off plate where there would probably be a USB port. There's one up on the dashboard, and then here, and then here. So you do get the heated seats, but I don't know what's going on there. $93,000 vehicle I got. I think that's a chip shortage thing. You do get a hook back here. This is kind of a cargo cover. I probably won't be able to put it in one-handed, but it sits here and then clamps here. And then when you have the third row up, it just kind of covers the rearmost cargo area. And then the vehicle will squat down. So the air suspension, and it is in off-road mode, so the air suspension will drop the rear down for loading things. Not as useful when the vehicle is raised all the way up, but it does go pretty low. And then I'm actually not sure. So there's a 12-volt outlet right there. So you do get some power in the rear, just one little port. Not entirely. Your fuse panel. So I thought that might be something cool like an air compressor, but nope, just the fuse box. And let's okay, good enough. And then there's where your tire jack lives, because again, no need for a spare tire under here because spare tire lives on the door. Speaking of the door, it is extremely heavy. The gas strut is pretty nice, so it closes smoothly, but it's just, oh, one more cool thing. There is a hazards triangle in here. And it's actually not even been taken out of the packaging yet. So you can see it's still in the plastic. We'll leave it in there, but cool to find something like that. My Toyota Land Cruiser, my personal vehicle, is a 200 series Toyota Land Cruiser. It has a space for that hazards triangle, but they don't give it to you in the US market. It's cool that Land Rover includes one by default, even here in the United States. What I was getting at is that door is very, very heavy. You do get two steel recovery points at the rear. I think they're steel. And then a 2-inch receiver hitch with a 7-pin and a 4-pin connector right there. One thing I have to wonder about is, with this spare tire, could you get a tray style hitch bike rack on this? I don't know. You'd probably have to get some kind of extension. If anyone knows of a solution for that or what you do, let me know, because I'm just curious. Like I said, first edition, so there are some first edition badges. The design of the Defender is pretty neat. I like how it drops off so abruptly at the rear. I like what they've done with the lights here. Those are obviously very much derivative of the original Defender, and overall it's a really unique hind end on the Defender. Let's take a look at the key. Nothing too special. You've got lock, unlock, lights, and then I imagine this is a rear hatch release, but I actually haven't been able to get it to do anything. Maybe someone else can fill me in. Sorry. Okay, so we do have a window sticker. You can see this is a 2023 Land Rover Defender 130 First Edition. The exterior color is Fuji White, and then this interior color is called Light Oyster. So it's a really light color. I really like it. It's a nice aesthetic. It makes the cabin a really kind of nice place to be, but I do have to wonder about durability. As equipped, like I said, this one comes in at $92,725 when you factor in a destination fee of $1,475. The 130 First Edition starts at $84,700. And then when you add things like the towing pack, the cold climate pack, 22-inch wheels are $2,000. The extended bright exterior pack is $1,500. That's how that price climbs to just shy of $93K. Like I said, this one uses the P300 inline 6-cylinder gas engine. It puts out 395 horsepower and 406 pounds-feet of torque, and it's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission that sends power to all 4 wheels via kind of all-wheel drive, full-time 4-wheel drive type system that does have low range, of course. Fuel economy with the P300 in the 130 comes in at 17 city, 21 highway, and 19 combined. I've been seeing right about 18 as I've been driving around town. Let's go ahead and turn things on. The interior of the Defender is very rugged, very charming. The thing that stands out to me the most is this shelf that dominates the dashboard. So it's there, it's over here to the left of the gauge cluster, and then it's all in front of the passenger. It's just really handy. You can stuff stuff there. You can put hat, phone, wallet, sunglasses, keys, all kinds of things can just live up there, and that's really handy on a road trip or an adventure, which the Defender is kind of designed for. Obviously, there's a nice big digital infotainment screen in the center here. When the Defender first came out, I remember there being a smaller screen. I'm not sure when the bigger one was added, but overall, it's a pretty decent system. It's not the best, not the worst. The UI is laid out pretty intuitively. I like the graphic design at play here. You can choose between an app layout like this or this screen where you can kind of slide to select different things. We'll pull up the off-road mode. That's probably the most interesting part. You have to say you won't be an idiot when you drive off-road, but you do get an altitude readout. I really like that, often overlooked. And then over here you can see things like pitch and roll, and you've got wade sensing, which kind of terrifies me. Info on the different terrain management systems, and then you can configure different terrain response modes. Speaking of terrain response, Land Rover is kind of known for its terrain response system. It's a pioneer in this area. You employ this dial, you push this button, and then you use this dial to cycle through the different terrain response modes. So you've got mud and ruts, sand, rock crawl, wade, that configurable mode, and then all the way to the left. Like I said, it's a little clunky. Grass, gravel, snow, comfort, and then an eco mode. Other things down here, controls for your...
Handset not connected.
Do not speak again. Down here you've got different controls for the suspension, so you can raise and lower the vehicle via these buttons here. You've got normal height, there's an access height, and then an off-road height. There might be more, but I'm not sure. And then over here is your HVAC stuff, so you can control fan speed. So these buttons are your like typical HVAC dials, so you can adjust temperature, push them, and you can turn on the heated if you go to the right, or ventilated if you go to the left seats. And then here you push the fan button and you adjust fan speed using this dial on the right. So you employed this dial for fan speed, and then you employed this dial for terrain response. Shifter's pretty easy to use. We've all seen these before. There's a trigger at the back that you have to pull if you want to actually change gears. If you don't pull it, you can't change gears. Push here to park, and you can pop it over into sport mode, and you can use your up-down shifting via the plus minus there. No paddle shifters. I was kind of surprised to find that, but I do like the steering wheel design. This white is interesting. It's a textured white plastic. Curious to see how well that would hold up over time, but it's held up decently over almost 5,900 miles that are on this one. Center console is okay. Keep in mind you can get this vehicle, not the 130, but the 110 and the 90. You can get it with a center fold-down jump seat. It's a somewhat rare option, but certainly a novelty. This one just has the center console, so you've got USB-C, USB-A, which who cares, who wants to see that anymore. Then another 12-volt outlet. I mentioned that we were missing a USB port up here. That would live right there. Again, I'm not sure if that's a chip shortage thing. Beneath that, you've got some storage. It's rubberized, and then it does go back all the way to there. There's no covered storage on this center console, which feels like a little bit of a miss, but either way, cup holders here, they're rubberized, they're pretty good, pretty big, and then a wireless charging pad here. You might say, well, what about this? This is covered storage, but it's a refrigerator that works really well. Like, there's actually, my Land Cruiser has a center console refrigerator, but it doesn't, this actually builds up ice on the inside. It gets that cold. Or the Frisian, the 200 series Land Cruiser is a good bit bigger than this. Like, it's 3 cans wide. This is only This is only 2 cans wide, but it definitely doesn't get this cold. Like that is cold, very cold. So that's pretty neat. It doesn't run when the vehicle is turned off. No, it doesn't run when the vehicle is turned off. But say you're on a road trip, you get a cold drink somewhere, or you had, say, drinks sitting in there overnight and you want them to get cold, they'd probably be cold after about an hour. Let's check out the second row before we lose our light here. Maybe we'll do the second and third rows all together. So you do get independent HVAC on the back of the center console. There's decent space, plenty of knee room. I'm about 5'10". That's where I have the seat when I'm driving. You can see I have plenty of room to sit behind myself. Fold down center armrest with a cup holder, big panoramic sunroof overhead, and then you get more of that fun Defender design on all of the door panels. Let's I think this, yeah. Let's check out the third row. Pretty easy to put it up. I like manual third rows. You might complain about a manual third row on a $93,000 car, but well, I just demonstrated why I like them, because they're so easy to put up. There are some weird packaging. Yeah, so pull it back before you pull the seat. You have to pull the seat bottom back before you pull the seat back, or else it'll lock in place, slid forward. But I've got enough room back here to tolerate this. I mean, I'm kind of wedged in, and as I showed, you could slide the second row seat forward a little bit, which that would give me better space. But it's an adult size third row. I think you can make that argument, and that's pretty cool. Makes this vehicle, well, it opens this vehicle up to a lot more people. But yeah, there are just some weird packaging things. I already showed the third row and how kind of lazily designed it is. Like this, we better than this has been on the market for 20 plus years now. They really just kind of slapped this together, and then like that's not comfortable, and that isn't present in other 3-row vehicles. And then I'll show one more thing. It's kind of hard to, oh God, ow, kind of cumbersome to get out. Again, in large part because of that hump right there. I guess it's the wheel arch. And the other weird packaging thing is this right here. So I kept wanting to put my heel further back than this would allow, and just kind of surprised because again, you don't have that in other vehicles. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe they chose to spend their R&D dollars, I don't know, on marketing or somewhere else, but weird. While we're here, let's take a look at the payload. That's decent in this thing. 1,320 pounds of payload. So that's the amount of stuff that it can haul. You want obviously a vehicle that can haul 8 people to have decent payload. I can't do the math off the top of my head, but that allows you to haul 8 people around, assuming a couple of them are probably kids, at least a couple of them don't weigh a whole lot, and still have some leftover payload. Build date on this looks like 7/22, so July 22 is when it was built. Okay, let's try to get up to the top of the mountain before we lose all our light. How about that?